Hello guys, welcome back to BoreDraw, episode number 32, baby. And it's been a wild weekend. We've had a couple of derbies, we've had a truckload of games.
Couple of derbies, mate.
Some absolute screamers, some fantastic results, you know.
You might not even call what happened to Spurs a derby game, because did they even turn up? We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Spurs are coming for next.
But yeah, we're currently in the studio and it's about -6.
It's fucking
I can
cold.
see the cold on my breath, literally.
Oh yeah, you can. Fuck.
Yeah, it's that cold. So, yeah, we'll be statues for the rest of this episode. But yeah, and stick around towards the end because we've got a huge announcement.
It's massive.
It's massive.
It's massive.
It's the biggest announcement we've had ever. So stick around to the end. And I see you see you right there trying to skip to the end right now. Don't skip.
Because you want to hear what I say about Spurs.
Yeah, he's going to go on a madness.
Yeah, it's just them shit.
But yeah, we'll start with... Should we start with the big one? The big one.
Manchester.
Manchester United 2.
Man City 1.
Man City 1. I'll start off.
Yeah, hit me.
So I think I saw on I can't remember what thread it was on Twitter, but Man City for every season have been on. There's a table where it shows you your performance in a game compared to how many points you've got. You should have had, and Man City have always been top of that chart, whether or not they are top of the league or not. This is the first season since Pep Guardiola has joined that they haven't been top of that chart.
So what does that mean? That they're
their performance in game is indicative of how many points they should be on.
Okay, so they're not overperforming or anything.
They are underperforming.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see on the pitch, and we've spoke about this last episode with in terms of Haaland, and is he actually making Man City worse? And it's ridiculous to say because you build your team around him. And I think Pep's come out and he said the way we played in the last couple of games hasn't been to his strengths, and so it's not his fault. And I don't think it'll be a problem in the future because Man City are just they will provide the service. I just don't think the service is being there, and maybe it's a result of teams learning that you can't stop Haaland, but you can stop the service, and that's always been the case. It's how you don't stop Haaland, you stop the supply coming into him, and I think Man United done this quite well. Man United done it excellently.
Yeah, what Ten Hag did that I thought was impressive is that he brought Fred in, who has been benched heavy. He hasn't really been featuring at all. But he brought him in this game and told him, just follow De Bruyne around. Don't let him make space. Don't let him feed the balls to Haaland. And you saw that one time that he let De Bruyne slip, Man City got the goal. But apart from that, Fred followed him around, tracked his runs, and didn't let De Bruyne create as much as I'm assuming as much as De Bruyne would have wanted to in that game.
Very reminiscent of Partey's song of Messi.
It's one of those ones.
One of those ones just absolutely just bite at the heels and don't let him have any time or space on the ball. And I think that is the way you do stop City. And it'd be interesting to see when they play Arsenal in a few, is it in a month?
Yeah, a couple. What is it? Mid-Feb? Yeah. So
when they play Arsenal, how Arsenal will deal with that? Because I don't know who. Maybe they put Xhaka on that role, maybe or someone like that.
But I reckon we just do our thing. I reckon we slap them.
Well, we'll get onto that. But yeah, obviously a bit of controversy in this game.
A bit. It was a heavy controversy. The
main one being Rashford's interference in the Fernandes goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he interferes with play, doesn't he?
Big time. And we got Gaffers, who's been on the podcast. He's a big United fan. We were at the pub watching the Arsenal game, and that was after the United game. And we chatting about the United game. And I was like, what do you think about the Rashford goal, the Bruno Fernandes goal? And he was like, yeah, Rashford doesn't get involved. And I was like, Connor, you can't say that. Because
he just is shielding the ball.
He's shielding the ball. He's made Akanji kind of reevaluate his defensive line. He's made Ederson come out of the goal and pretty much be on the edge of the box. All those things are affected by Rashford doing what he's doing. So you can't say, just because he doesn't touch the ball, he's not affecting play, because he's affecting play in more ways by being there than if he touched the ball.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, the rules of the game are almost so unclear that it's causing these sort of issues because I think the rules of play state interference is like the key term, but they don't define what interference actually is.
Yeah.
So it comes down to the subjectivity. It comes down to like the referee's decision at the time. And I think you'd like from a mile away, you just got to like ask yourself, if Rashford isn't there, does it play out the same way?
Exactly.
And if the answer is yes, then it's a goal. If it's no, and it doesn't take a football genius to see that if Rashford isn't there, Man City defend that, and it's like that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you think like the people that are refereeing or in VAR just have no clue about like a passage of play, and their football IQ must be so low because they just can't foresee how Rashford is affecting that game, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, I think it's borderline scandalous.
But I fucking love it because that put Arsenal even more points clear.
Yeah, and so Man United have been, until last night anyway, a lot of people touting as dark horses for the like surprise contenders for the Premier League, maybe.
Yeah, Gary Neville had them finishing above Arsenal even still. They said he said Man City's still going to win the league. Man United second, Arsenal third.
Do you know what? I think that is ridiculous to say, but
Gary's a scumbag.
There is a bit of me where I think I am just waiting for the Arsenal blip. I'm waiting for it to come crashing down, but they're proving me wrong week in, week out. But however, I mean, Gary and you could put your words where your mouth is.
Gary, come on the pod.
And because
Please.
you are playing this weekend.
We are. And that is a very exciting game. Two very hot informed teams. But like you said, Man United last night played Crystal Palace.
Palace put the pressure on them.
Yeah, and Man United looked comfortable most of the game, but you could tell that while it was 1-0, Palace got more and more confident that they could get a late equaliser.
I mean,
and
De Gea
nothing was coming.
Yeah,
De Gea made a couple of nice saves. And you kind of saw in the game that Crystal Palace were losing ideas, but Elise with an absolutely belting free kick at the end of the game.
That was like the most perfect free kick you can possibly
And he didn't
imagine.
even celebrate the fucking hooligan.
He recycled the Mario Balotelli quote, didn't he?
Oh, what, something about postmen?
Yeah. He's got asked why I didn't celebrate. He says, does a postman celebrate when he delivers the post?
Elite mentality.
Yeah, I back it. Recycling quotes, though.
Yeah. And big L for Man United is that Casemiro got a book in, so he won't be available for the Arsenal game.
Yeah, that is massive because Casemiro has been probably unequivocally the best.
Yeah, him and
DM.
Rashford.
The best DM in the league, followed up closely by Partey and maybe Rodri.
Yeah, Casemiro and Rashford, the two that I'd say are carrying Man United at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought about Weghorst, you could see what he was there to do.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's gonna. I think Rashford through the middle is a better play.
I think he'll get a couple of goals, but I don't think he's at the level United need to if they want to compete for the Prem. I know he's only a loan signing, and so it just fills a hole for the time being. But if they want to compete for the Prem, I think they should have done more. Which I think that kind of tells you where their head is at in terms of what they want to do this season. I think for them it is just get top 4 and then build on it next season.
If you look at where they come from, though, that is a brilliant finish, especially when you look at Chelsea, who spent now 600 million in the space of 6 months.
We're not actually talking about Chelsea in this pod, but I'm going to add a little bit at the end because they're a disgrace.
They are disgusting.
I hate them.
But yeah, I mean, and they're also competing against the likes of like Liverpool, who have had like several 90+ point finishes without even winning the league in the last several seasons. And they're competing against them for top 4, and the likes of Newcastle as well.
Yeah.
So you say City and Arsenal are probably 30s now, but yeah, and then Tottenham as well. So the competition for top 4 is massive,
crazy.
And you've got basically 2 places on sale.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, like you say, I don't think Wout Weghorst is the answer. But what I do think he does is give you a different kind of option.
Yeah.
If the game isn't going for you, you can bring him on. And if the game is not going for you, but you start and take him off and you bring on someone like Martial, or you put Rashford centrally. I think I prefer Rashford in the central role, though. But he is quite good at coming in off the left-hand side.
Yeah, I prefer him on the wide areas.
Yeah, I mean, but you have that option now. You're not relying on Martial just to sort of
I
not
heard
get injured.
Jadon Sancho is back in training as well.
Jadon Sancho, I mean, I would like to see him starting over Anthony.
Big time. I slate Anthony enough. And I think the last episode I slated him, and then he immediately scored kind of a bit of a screamer from the edge of the box. Can't remember who it again. I think Charlton.
You can tell he is techie.
I think that's all he is. He's
But
just like one of those like
All
yoga.
source, no substance.
He's just like a Yoga Benito player that just should go play like futsal or something.
But like you watch him and you could tell like technically he is excellent. Like his touch and his ability on the ball is fantastic. But he doesn't ever take on players.
I just don't think he's cut out for the Prem. He needs to play in like Serie A or something, or go play futsal. Because I swear down, if I was a defender, I'd just clamp him every game. He's so easy to just get close to and muscle off the ball because he just doesn't beat you for pace. He's not that quick, and he just recycles the ball too much. He's not
got a
direct
decent
enough.
left foot though. He does score a couple of good goals, but he also sends a few wayward. So I would like to see them bring in someone a bit more consistent, someone a bit more direct.
Yeah,
Someone in the esque of Jadon Sancho. I'd like to see that work out for him, especially as well because he's English and
yeah.
could be. And we know what he's good
And what
at.
he was doing at Dortmund was different levels, mate.
Yeah.
The drop-off's crazy. Hopefully he gets back to good form, but not whilst Arsenal.
We've
are
seen a
doing
lot of
everything.
English players that drop off like heavy. Like look at Trent, absolutely dumpstered by Mitoma.
Yeah, we'll get onto that.
That was. He needs to go study a PhD in defending because that was something else.
Yeah,
You look at Dele Alli as well. He fell off hard.
yeah.
He's never coming back, is he?
Jared Bowen's had a bit
Jared
of a
Bowen's having a stinker.
stinker, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of English players, man. Maybe we'll highlight them because they're English, but
So, I want to talk about Man City before we move on to the Arsenal Spurs game. They had one shot on target this game. What do you think if you're Pep Guardiola? So they're playing Spurs tonight. I think lineups will come out in a bit, actually. If you're Pep, what do you do to kind of get this attack firing again? Ditch Haaland, keep Haaland.
I think you keep
Benzema.
Haaland. If Haaland's fit, you play him. I don't know if they know what their best starting lineup is.
Yeah, which is a
I
problem.
don't know whether they think... I quite like Bernardo Silva in a central role. I think he's quite good in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
And you just...
Which is interesting because I was listening to a Man City fan on... I can't remember what I was watching, but he said that he went to the game and who he was with, all of them kind of didn't like the idea of Bernardo in the middle and they prefer him out wide. Which I think is the problem with Bernardo Silva because he's so good at everything. You don't really know where to put him because he could play that central role so well alongside Rodri. And you could push De Bruyne more forward. Or you could ditch Mahrez on the wing and play him out there. You could almost play him as like a false nine. So he's got so many good positions, but is he the best at Man City in any of those positions is the problem.
I think... So, Ederson in goal is a given. I think he's brilliant. Is it Zach Stefan, their backup?
Yeah, stinks.
I don't really rate him. I think Kyle Walker has got to be their starting right back. I know like Lewis has come in.
Brought him in my fantasy.
And he's done well. Like,
he looks good.
He looks like a really good player, but
Yeah.
I think they just need a bit of solidity and they need to get back to you don't need to fix what's not broken.
Yeah.
And it was working before, and I know you had injuries and stuff, but
Yeah.
get back to your usual lineup. And then I know they're mixing up Akanji, Ake, Stones, Laporte, and Diaz. I know they've had injuries and such, and Ake and Akanji have been starting most games, but John Stones is the best English centre back. Ruben Diaz, when he first came to the Prem, he looked like he was better than
the best
Van Dijk.
best defender in the league.
And then on your left back, you've got João Cancelo, who is on his day probably best wing back in the world.
I'll back it.
And so you've got to go back to that and look at potentially maybe playing a bit more asymmetrical and overloading your right hand side so that Cancelo has more space to work into and he can get closer up into the box, or overload your left hand side and just get him more involved in the sort of intricacies and get him on the outside of the box because we know he likes to pop at goal and he's got a brilliant delivery.
Yeah.
Middle of the park.
I think that's one thing that I think they're missing, and you, rightly saying that he's got an outrageous delivery. And at the moment, I think they're putting a lot of eggs in the De Bruyne will cross it and Haaland will finish it basket. But if they allow other people to do the delivering beyond just De Bruyne, like you said,
You
Cancelo.
don't just rely on Deliveroo. You get Uber Eats, Just
Bars,
Eat.
Just Eat, I know, all the other shit. But, yeah, if you get deliveries from other angles, yes, they've got a man marking...
Mate, get the Royal Mail
If they get
involved.
Fred on him, De Bruyne's out the game. That's fine, because Cancelo can do what De Bruyne does. Probably not as consistently, but he can do it. And I think you need to open up more avenues. I think they're just relying too much on the De Bruyne to Haaland. And I think what would help that is if, and I said this a couple of pods back, if you play a 4-4-2,
Alvarez.
play Alvarez up top, and then you could even play João Cancelo as like a right or left mid and kind of let him tuck inside. I think you need to get Alvarez on the pitch. He opens up different attacking avenues that defenders will have to be aware of.
Yeah, I think Alvarez is the answer. Whether you even they stick with the 4-3-3 and they play him as a left wing back or a left wing or right wing, but I don't have statistics to back this up yet. But for me, watching City, especially in the past, most of their success has come when they're able to get to the byline. And when they get to the byline, there is no team better in the world than pulling it back to the centre spot, the penalty spot, and then like they're just being a player there at the right time. Or even they do like the little floater into the back post or something. There is always a player in the right spaces, and it looks like something that's been drilled over and over again. They're not doing it, and they're really struggling to get there. And I don't know whether it's because they are, like you say, too focused on Haaland and De Bruyne's link up. So you do bring in someone like Alvarez, who, like you say, we described him when he first signed, and he played in the Community Shield as like a bit of a ghost. Like he pops up and he scares the shit out of defenders.
Yeah.
And so bringing him in, and then, but like the question is, how do you bring him in? So do you go to like a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1 and play him literally just off of Haaland? You've got like two pretty central strikers.
I think that's the one.
Or do you go stick with your 4-3-3 and potentially play him out on the right hand side with Foden on the left?
We need to talk about Foden. The drop off for my guy has been heavy.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know. He is good.
He's so good. So good. But on the left wing, he's not doing it for me. And I said that when we were talking about England, he's not a winger. He's technically good enough. He's like Bernardo Silva. Both of them are technically good enough to play anywhere on the pitch. But that doesn't mean they should play anywhere on the pitch.
He's better utilised as a 10.
You've got to utilise them where they're best. And they've got fucking 3 players in Bernardo, De Bruyne and Foden who all their best position is number 10. And there's a lovely problem to have. But if you're not playing to all of their strength at the same time, you've got a problem because you're kind of to the detriment of Foden and Bernardo Silva. You're playing them in shit positions and they're struggling. Either don't play them all at the same time, use them as impact subs. Foden will be a quality impact sub. So, I don't know. They need to reevaluate their attacking intent. I know they want to go out and kill games from the beginning, but maybe they need to kind of start a bit slower and
draw teams in a bit.
I think so. I'm just waffling, but this is off the dome. I just think they need to...
The problem is we're waffling because it's not an easy solution. There is no easy solution because they have the best team in the league. They have the best striker in the world. And they've had a couple rough games and suddenly we're looking at them and being like, are they not as good as they used to be? And the chances are they probably had a spell like this last season where they had a bit of a wobble. And they come through it, and the chances are they'll do it again. Like we're 25 minutes out from the teams being released for the Spurs City game, and they could go on tonight and win this game, and then we're gonna look back on this episode and look fucking stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
So we won't waffle on about City too much.
No, I think it's just got to a stage now. Yeah, teams are just too used to being dominated by City, so most teams' go-to plan now is sit back, and City are struggling a bit more with that than they used to. So I think City, like I was saying earlier, they just need to tone it down a smidge. Let teams, sucker them in a bit. Let teams think they can
have a go,
and then you kill them with the De Bruyne passes. Like right at the beginning of the season, City played West Ham, and it was like 1-0 to City, and West Ham thought, we're in the game still, pushed out a bit more, and then De Bruyne right near the end of the game just did this disgusting through ball.
It was the
and
unstoppable goal.
Haaland just went. And that's what... and that is like their prime attacking avenue, is suckering teams in, let that whole team push up a little bit.
Bit of gap between the
and
defence.
then De Bruyne, and anyone can do this pass, Cancelo, just fucking lofts a ball over the defensive line, and Haaland will run onto it every single day. But teams have stopped pushing up because they're like, fuck me, City are just going to dominate us. Let them get a bit excited, and then you kill them.
City, let teams come at you.
Just tempt them in, sucker them in, baby.
We'll be back in a minute.
And it's Arsenal. Arsenal FC.
They are the best team in North London.
The greatest team. I'll stop there.
Yeah, top of the league.
Flying.
What was it, 2-0?
We said form goes out the window. If anything, form was slap bang up against the window. Arsenal, flying form, continued to fly. Spurs, absolute horseshit. And they still were horseshit.
So we went out in London to watch this game. And
I was shitting
from the off, I
was nervous.
I think Sky were doing they did a piece about Harry Kane, about him being phenomenal in the derby, and I was thinking, it's what we said on the podcast the week before, he could turn up. He was nowhere to be found.
He got pocketed by, I want to say, one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League. Gabriel, I know everyone's talking about Saliba because he's young and we paid a lot for him and he's just come back into the team and everyone was like, oh, is he going to leave Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. And everyone was like, he's the missing piece. But Gabriel this season, I think has hit a whole new level and I think he's one of the best defenders in the Prem. He's a little bit rash, but he's
good in the opposition box as well.
That's perfectly coupled with Saliba, who isn't rash at all. So if Gabriel goes to close down, Saliba's always there to cover. And that's where Spurs are lacking, because they got that donut in defence, Romero, who is rash like Gabriel.
No, he's more rash than anyone.
He's more rash than Gabriel. But he's an absolute donut, because he pushes up all the time, because he thinks, oh yeah, I'll set the tone by making a clamping tackle. We'll get himself a yellow in the first minute, and then everyone's like, oh, we can't fucking do anything now. And he'll always push forward and leave space behind him. And as we've established many a time, Spurs' fullbacks are dog shit. So if he pushes forward, it's so easy to go round him and so easy to go through Spurs' defence.
Yeah, Spurs, just simply put, they're shit.
They're horse shit.
I like the whole game, I was just looking, and the way they defend is so flat. They set up in this sort of 3-4-3 formation, but it's not a 3-4-3. It is a flat 5 at the back. You don't get your wingers involved. Son, Kulusevski, and Kane are isolated they might as well be at the top of Mount Everest, mate, because you're never going to find them. Højbjerg, he's not a bad player.
He's
very average.
Nowhere near good enough to run a double pivot by himself.
They lack any sort of creativity up until the final third.
You need to be like a world-class midfielder to compete against teams that play 3 in the middle if you're a 2. I'm talking like Toni Kroos and Modric. I'm talking Busquets on its own sometimes. Elite level players can play like a man down in the midfield. Højbjerg and Skip, Højbjerg and Papi Matistar, Højbjerg and Bentancur, those Basuma, as a double are just nowhere near good enough to play as a double by themselves.
But so if they play in a double, right? If you play a double pivot in the middle, you don't play through the middle. That is the be all end all of it, unless you do have a Toni Kroos and Modric, because you're not going to have the time. They're going to press you hard. That is the pressing trigger of the the enemy team, the opposition.
Enemy team inbound.
But Spurs, they have no idea what they are doing. They are just they're set up to be difficult to beat, but they're not.
Yeah,
and they have no passage of play. There is no identity in this Spurs team. You watch it, and it is the most dull football ever. I could put I could get 11 20-year-olds.
Dead nans.
I could get 11 of our mates, and put them on a pitch, and
do we have 11 mates?
Well, we could get someone off Twitter, but yeah, we could literally get 11 random people, And I'm sure they would have more attacking identity than this Spurs team, because you brought in the likes of Perisic, you got the likes of Sessegnon, you got the likes of Emerson Royale. Right, Perisic is the standout there. Get him involved. He can't. He barely made it past the halfway line. Like, he didn't even play, did he?
No, he didn't start. I think he came on towards the end. But Sessegnon, mate, he had an absolute nightmare. Like, you've got to be about yourself to handle Bukayo Saka, possibly the best winger in the Premier League at this moment in time.
He was getting bodied, mate.
Saka had him for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, mate.
Who did they have? Who did they have out on the right hand side?
As in fullback,
yeah.
Doherty.
Oh,
and he is so bad, and he's a gooner as well. That's an L.
I just like Saw in the middle wasn't great. I didn't really know what he'd done.
No, I feel like him and Højbjerg were hung out to dry because, like I said, you've got to be very, very elite to be a man down in midfield and hold your own. But what Arsenal do is, and we played Zinchenko in this game, he tucks into the midfield. So at most times of the game, we have 4 in midfield. So their 2 was always going to get overrun against our 3, even if we played Tierney, who doesn't tuck in. But we played Zinchenko, who does tuck in. So we were just fisting them in the midfield. It was rough.
I mean, but
we were rondoing them.
That happens every game. Like, Arsenal are the best team in the league at the minute. But
Say it again.
Spurs are like, they're getting fucking outplayed in the middle by like fucking Everton.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? There is such a lack of identity, and there is no reason for it, because you have Harry Kane, who up until Haaland's arrival, and he probably still could be the best striker in the league, most complete striker in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's an argument to be had.
I'd say he's the most complete. Yeah.
You got Heung-min Son, who has scored like 20 plus goals every season. He joined.
We're coming for you next, Son.
Son literally got the joint golden boot last season.
Yeah.
No penalties either.
No,
for Salah.
We're coming for you next, Son, because
Kulusevski looked like a revelation when he signed.
He actually looked all right in this game.
Was all right, but
he looks like their only attacking source when Harry Kane's not around.
Richarlison is all he is a shithouse, and
he's a massive fanny, is what he is.
I don't mind Richarlison as a player, as a footballer. I think he's actually a decent player, but he is just there for the shithousery. But it's like, how do you have this quality and you have no attacking impotence as well at all? It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Antonio Conte, mate, have a long hard look at yourself, because you should just get out there before it gets too embarrassing for you. You need to go, because this is not working.
Yeah.
Mate, you could take any League One manager, yeah, and fucking get him in this job, and they would probably end up with the mid-table.
I genuinely reckon the other 19 Prem managers do a better job.
I think Frank Lampard does a better job
with this Spurs team. It's so dire. And yeah, like we said...
Is it stubbornness, though, that he's not reverting
the stubbornness to not change a formation, which is weird, because... So his 3 at the back formation, I don't know if you remember, stemmed from when he was a Chelsea manager and Chelsea played Arsenal, and we battered them 3-0 in the first half, and they were playing 4 at the back. So at half-time, he reverted to a 3 at the back, and then continued that for the rest of the season. That's how they won the Prem. And I don't know if that's what's brought him success, and then he did the same at Inter Milan, that he's so adamant that this is the only way he can play.
But mate, you look at the difference in quality of the defensive units he has in the midfield. It is night and day. Like, I'm not being funny here, but none of the Spurs' back 3, none of their wing backs, and none of their midfield get into any of the top. They don't get into I reckon they don't even get into the Newcastle side. They probably don't get into the United side. Definitely don't get into the Arsenal side. Get nowhere near City's. And they probably wouldn't get into like Liverpool's side. Yeah, like, they are so average, and you're forcing like 10 of them on the pitch.
It stems, like you said, from the shocking back 3, and then, like Lloris, we said, mate, as well, a couple of times. And I think this is going to be the highlight for Spurs. Any take home this. Højbjerg Højbjerg seems to always be in that team, and then whoever he's partnered with is never going to work as a 2. They are just not technically good enough, not athletic enough. When Conte won the league with the Chelsea team, he had, if I remember correctly, Cesc Fabregas in midfield and then N'Golo Kante. So that is one of the most technically gifted players the game's ever seen in Cesc Fabregas, and then probably the most athletic runner the game has ever seen in N'Golo Kante. And then in Inter Milan, if I remember correctly, pretty sure they had Barella, who is technically top tier and athletic as fuck, and Brozovic, who is
Destroyer.
a destroyer, so good. They're all four of those are world class players. Spurs
If they are
no world class midfielders.
If you say the Cesc and Kante is like the top S tier, yeah, and Barella and Brozovic are probably a tier below them. Hoiberg and fucking anyone else probably E or F. Yeah,
it's so
nowhere
bad.
near.
So if I was Spurs, I know there's like talk about the transfer budget is non-existent. They're worried about Kane leaving. They're worried about Conte leaving. Fucking, if you're gonna keep Conte and gonna lose Kane, sell Kane. Use that money, buy 2 world-class centre mids. Don't matter who. You could go fucking buy Milinkovic-Savic. You could go buy Barella. You could go buy Sandro Tonali from AC Milan. You could go buy, genuinely, I think Kessie needs to leave Barcelona. He's quality. Get him. There's so many, man. All you need to do is buy some good centre mids. Because I don't rate Romero, but Spurs fans seem to suck his dick at any opportunity. So he must be an okay defender.
I don't think he's that bad.
Keep him. Eric Dyer on his day is okay. Ben Davies is old, he's shit. Get rid of him and get another defender in. That's all that sorted. And then for the love of God, let's move on from Hugo Lloris.
Mate, that game, the Arsenal game, mate.
Waste, man.
You in a North London derby, like any game, let alone the North London derby. Saka puts the ball into the it wasn't even a really powerful
No, that's what a lot of the commentators were like. Oh, the power got him. I don't want to blame him, mate. It was like a standard Premier League kick. It wasn't hard. It wasn't even a shot. I think Saka just tried to cross it and misplaced it.
I think you give every starting Premier League goalkeeper, that opportunity, and every single one of them clears it away.
It was genuinely harder to do what he did. He could have just stood there like De Gea did with his hand on the post, taking it in the head, and it would have gone off for a corner.
It was like
baffling,
and it set the tone for the game because it was just. You never get to half-time at 0-0 if you're Spurs. Get to half-time at 0-0 because that way you're still in the game and anything can happen in the second half. Something like that so early on.
You're absolutely right. And right before that as well, they were passing it around the back and Nketiah was pressing him and he almost got tackled by Nketiah and then spooned a clearance off the pitch. And like you said, he's just so risky around the kind of playing out from the back dynamic. And then he's just not a good goalkeeper. So
he's shit, mate.
He's just breeding uncertainty from the back. And
when you've got the shit backline with the shit goalkeeper,
when you've got just a nightmare of mistakes, any switch up would be good because you just need to start reducing the mistakes. And I like it back to Arsenal. Leno, unlike Lloris, is a good goalkeeper, but dodgy playing out from the back. Has mistakes in him. So we got rid of him. Mustafi, Socrates, David Luiz. They're not great defenders. David Luiz is alright. But they have mistakes in them. Big elite teams these days, it's all just analysis of, it's like cost effectiveness kind of thing. Are they cost effective? Is he a good enough defender to warrant the mistakes that he provides? All the Spurs ones just aren't. Whereas say Van Dijk had a mistake in him, he would warrant that mistake because he's elite in so many other aspects of his game.
If you have an elite ball-playing defender who can start attacks with one ball from that sort of, or he can, I don't know, like a marauding defender, like when you had John Stones and Maguire at the World Cup, they facilitate that sort of risk of 100% mistake because they bring so much more.
Pep must have seen in John Stones because at Everton he was still raw, but Pep must have seen the way John Stones, like you said, used to maraud out of defence and his ball playing ability was elite, but he had a lot of mistakes in him. But Pep must have seen, yes, this guy, if we can start reducing the mistakes that he makes, will become an elite defender. Whereas these Spurs players, they haven't even got the things that will redemptive qualities. That's not the word. Redeeming qualities. They haven't got those qualities to make them worthwhile for their mistakes. So just fucking bin them off. Just to cancel out the mistakes.
Wrap up this Spurs segment.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on their neck.
The demolition of Spurs by Rosario Perone.
Love it.
Antonio Conte, as a manager, strikes me as someone who has a lot of balls. Big balls.
Italian balls.
Big Italian balls, yeah. But where are they? Because I'm not being funny. If we are 9 minutes away from the line that's being released for the City game tonight, if Fraser Forster isn't starting in goal ahead of Hugo Lloris, I question that.
I would love that. That'd be so funny.
And if they are still against Man City, I can sort of justify the formation because I do think that's actually.
I just know they're going to get a result.
You want
it's going to be grim
to pack your midfield and stop the supply.
Yeah,
and I almost feel like it's harder for 3 defenders to track Haaland than it is for 2 because
you just rely on someone else doing it.
You will always be when it's 2, you're going to think, oh, this is my job.
Yeah,
and sometimes you end up doubling up.
Yeah,
3, you're less worried. You're less on.
You're like, oh, he might.
You're going to switch off.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't. You're not like it's going to go bad if you start with the 3 at the back. Antonio Conte needs to grow some balls, and he needs to fucking either get up and leave and allow someone else to take over, or he needs to drop Hugo Lloris and, like you say, go to Daniel Levy and be like, I need a fucking world-class centre mid. But Levy's going to turn around and go, we've actually bought you and Jed Spence as well and like all these players. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. But, yeah, Spurs, a bit stinky, and it is what it is. And will it turn around? Probably not.
You love to see it. Fuck Spurs. Fuck
Antonio
all them, man.
Antonio Conte.
Earth! I just want to say that Spurs fan that kicked down Ramsdale, you're a big pussy.
Oh, yeah, mate. Just fucking stupid. Like
so dumb.
You can't back it any time, yeah?
But, like,
anytime.
There's a billion cameras.
Mate, did you
see the video where they track him?
They track him. And he, like, sits down. He's, like, trying to hide his shit. It's like, fam, you're literally...
Mate, you're not getting out of there without getting your face in.
Mate,
unless you're, like... doing that the whole time. No, you're not getting out.
They will literally then track you from the stadium back to your house.
Yeah, mate, it's fucked.
But it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's a pussy.
And so, like, congratulations, mate. You got a foot on Aaron Ramsdale, but you're never going to be able to see your team play at a stadium again.
Yeah. I love, you see the clip of Arteta where he sees Xhaka running back, and then Arteta's like, fuck no!
You know, it was always going to get a bit feisty in North London derby. And, I mean, his Spurs can't win a football match. Maybe they can win a fight.
Bosh. But no, I like that. I think it's
you like it?
What?
The guy kicking Aaron Ramsdale?
No, I like just Arsenal being good and Spurs being shit.
Yeah.
But I like the feel that Arsenal have got going on is what I was going to go on to say. That just the unity is nice. Everyone's playing for each other. And Nketiah, I think he's had another quality game. I know he didn't get on the score sheet and he missed a couple of chances. But the way he kind of ran the line against 3 centre-backs that are all like kind of bigger and beefier than him, he had them all on toast at different points in the game. And I think he's proving to be very, very good filling for Gabriel Jesus.
I mean, yeah, like every cloud, and he's certainly been that silver lining so far. And I've been very impressed with him because when he went to Leeds, didn't he, in the Championship? And I thought he did score quite a good number of goals, but I thought he's still very raw.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing a very polished, like, young player with a lot of potential.
Yeah, apparently during the World Cup he did a lot of like work on himself and like his play style.
He was linking up with the likes of Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka so well.
And before we call it a day on Arsenal, Odegaard for player of the season. He's the highest scoring midfielder in the Prem. Captaining the team that's top of the league. Just turned player of the month.
Haaland's got 23 goals in like
Haaland's a pussy hole, man. They're second in the league. He hasn't scored in 3.
I don't know, though,
Odegaard scored more goals since the turn of the World Cup than Haaland.
I feel like Odegaard, though, is ghosted in more games than the likes of Martinelli or Saka. I think Saka would be my pick.
Nah, Odegaard for me is Arsenal's best player at the moment.
Fair enough.
But
at the moment,
that's a very good problem to have.
Over the course of the season, though.
You could have 3 or 4 players up for player of the season. I can't imagine Arsenal have had a player nominated for player of the season in like probably like 9 or 10
Sanchez.
Years. Yeah.
Or maybe
actually,
Aubameyang.
I forgot about. I think even when Aubameyang was good, he probably wasn't in player of the season.
But when he was like for the Golden Boot, he won the Golden Boot, didn't he?
Yeah.
That season when it was like him, Kane, and
Mane. No, I think it was Salah, Mane, and Aubameyang.
Was it all 3 of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a long time ago now though.
But yeah, yes.
And then maybe Sanchez before that.
It's all bloody juicy at Arsenal at the
Yeah,
moment.
mate, it's all good. Going a bit too well, maybe.
I'm getting a little bit too big for my boots.
Who knows? But yeah, let's cut Roz off now. Brighton are very good.
They
Derby ball is in full effect. Liverpool is shit. Let's move on.
Bosh. I say Bosh a lot. Big John, get on the pod.
Greek Bosh. Yamas Bosh.
Yeah, De Zerbi. You think when Brighton lost Potter, you're like, oh,
they lost the magic.
They lost the magic. This guy is going to take all the gems. But no, they're such a well-run club, which I think it's nice to see for teams like QPR or like teams in the Championship or lower down the Premier
We
League.
will never be well run.
We
are like honestly, we are doomed to spend the next
eternity in Championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like testament that if you run your club properly, no matter how often the big six come and pinch your best assets, beat your manager, beat your star player,
Be it Trossard.
Big move for Arsenal. That actually wasn't us being grabby though. That was him being a pussy-hole and
Not wanting to play.
not wanting to play.
Is that who you want to bring in though?
Now, I said this. I'm a bit iffy on his attitude, but I think he is a good player. There's no doubt in that.
Mikel won't let her on.
Yeah, exactly. Mikel slap him into place. But on Brighton, the big six can come and steal your man.
Steal your girl.
Yeah, the big six are Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Mr. Steal your girl. But De Zerbi is here to change that. But De Zerbi, mate.
So good.
It's so good, yeah.
So good.
It made Liverpool look
Amateur.
like a Sunday
and we'll
league.
get on to Liverpool because you're dusted
Mate,
at this level.
if Solly March is scoring 2 goals against you, something is wrong.
You see, they've gone back into change room and it's Solly March, Solly March, Solly March.
I thought Solly March, he was like sort of like a. Do you remember Oliver Burke?
Yeah.
He's sort of that sort of player. Like
Just-
Oliver Burke has the weirdest like career transitions ever. Like look up some of the clubs he's played for. It's just weird. But
Yeah.
Solly March had a great game. He
Solly
scored.
March
The
for
second goal
England.
was brilliant.
Solly March for England?
Absolutely not.
Oh!
But
He's cooking though.
mate, they've got the likes of like Adam Lallana and Welbeck
Yeah.
cooking. Like
That's true.
honestly,
their team is just like a who's who
did
of
Lamptey
Premier
even
League
start?
rejects. No, I don't think
because he
so.
hasn't started recently.
No, he
Like,
doesn't
since
start
his
anymore.
injury.
Yeah.
Like Tarek Lamptey, like 2 seasons ago, was their best player, stand-up player, crying out for him for England, crying out for him to go to a big 6 team. Can't even get in the team now. They're playing so well.
Yeah.
Deserved balls in full effect. Liverpool can get near him. They were embarrassed.
Yeah. What I've seen that De Zerbi does, I saw a video on Twitter of someone analysing kind of like their build-up and transition up the pitch. And in the most simple sense, it's just rondos the whole way up.
Triangles, mate.
It's just, they build squares. So it's Levi Colwell, who is unbelievable, and Dunk. And then they get Caicedo and Pascal Gross to drop in a bit, or McAllister. And they play just like this rondo between defence and attack. And then they'll switch the rondo out to the side, and it's Estupinan and Mitoma, and then the left-sided Levi Colwell and midfielder. Or then they'll push it up the pitch. So it's just like a 4-4-2 of rondos up and down the pitch. And it's so nice to see. I'll see if I can find the video on Twitter and I'll retweet it. So check out our social media. It's sexy to see that their style of play that looks so like attackive and quick and almost just second nature. And it kind of all boils down to something as kind of not mundane, but kind of as basic as just quick rondos. So yeah, shout out to Zerbi for kind of not even being here that long. Well, how long's he been in there since? Maybe like November time? Maybe a little bit
probably,
after.
yeah.
And he's got straight in. You see managers that are taking fucking absolute light years to impart their philosophy. Potter. But he's got in there, immediately kind of laid down the law, being like, Trossard, you're not doing enough, fuck off. Lamptey, you're not doing enough, fuck off. Whoever be. And he's just got straight in there, absolutely saucing on Matoma.
Mate.
Yeah,
let's just talk about Matoma.
Absolute unit of a team.
I had Trent on toast. He is probably the best dribbler in the Premier League. He's got a PhD
Got a PhD in it, mate.
Like,
But
unbelievable.
he's so techie. So techie.
And I'm excited to see him. And with Trossard leaving, he's basically he's a starter.
Yeah, 100%.
Guaranteed starter now. So
yeah. He's so direct. I've said this multiple times, and I think this is all stem from why I say why I don't like Anthony is because he's not direct enough. Matoma is like the definition of direct. He's just like, I will skin the life off you.
Yeah, he's out there writing theses on Trent Alexander-Arnold right now.
Mate, it's crazy.
But yeah, no, Brighton playing very well. It's very good to see. We'll quickly have a little chat. Oh, you want to talk about Liverpool real quick?
Yeah, I do. What is going on? So I've had this in the back of my mind for genuinely about a year now, but I've always been scared to say it because it's probably a very controversial opinion. And I know I'm going to get absolute belters because whenever I say something controversial, literally the next game, that player will have a worldie. I said it about Lloris, I tweeted it, and then he had a worldie immediately after. I think Thiago Alcantara is the most overrated player in the Premier League.
I don't really have an opinion on it. I think he's a good player.
He's technically so good, and that's not to his detriment or anything. But he's one of those players like Anthony. Go play futsal, mate.
Nah,
you're not good enough.
I think
to run a Premier League midfield.
Sometimes he forgets the player that he needs to be.
He balls out against teams that are shit.
He doesn't need to be a player who takes on other players. He's not going to be a number 10. He needs to be the metronome, the tiki-toki man, the tempo man.
I think he's so overrated.
I think Liverpool aren't playing to that, and they're asking him to look for like long balls and fucking.
He tries too much on the ball, gets tackled too often, and then will make a rash tackle to make up for it. He's not strong enough on the balls to run.
30 yellow card a game, isn't he?
Yeah, for me, I think he's overrated.
Yeah, I don't think he's overrated. I think he's very rated.
I don't give a shit.
I think he's rated. But yeah, I mean, Liverpool, Gakpo looked all right. Wasn't anything really particularly special about him. Still got the likes of Diaz to come back, Jota.
Yeah, they are absolutely full to the brim with injuries. Van Dijk's out at the moment. Pretty much all their front line in Firmino, Jota, all them, man.
Nunez
Diaz, Nunez. So they're in a bit of a sticky stitch. They do need some reinforcements in the midfield.
Yeah, like who we were just talking about, Spurs. Mate, they need sort of a bit more of a creative spark in the middle.
They do, because Harvey Elliott is good, but he is not. He's like Thiago. Where I said Thiago is techie, but weak as fuck. Harvey Elliott is literally like a little 6-year-old running around in there.
Did score a good goal against Wolves, though.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's technically very gifted, but play him somewhere where he's not going to get bullied by fucking 4... Imagine him going shoulder to shoulder with Joe Linton. Joe Linton fucking murder him. Catch a case. I know he's caught a case for drink driving, but we won't talk about that too much.
Naughty Joel, mate.
Yeah.
It's always the ones you like.
Yeah. Always the good ones.
But yeah, from one team with a lot of injury problems to another, Chelsea. But Chelsea are doing something completely different to everyone else, and they are just buying their way out of it with no success.
It's a disgrace. Genuinely, they've been in disgrace since Roman arrived. It's nothing new, but I think everyone kind of, when Roman left, was like, oh, thank God, the spending might chill out. They're not going to find anyone that is as money happy as Roman. But fuck me if they hit the jackpot in Todd Bowley. I don't know if it's a jackpot yet, because it seems like it's just spending for the sake of spending.
I'm not funny about it. This man has way too much money and no common sense.
He spent, what is it, like 500 mil since he's arrived? And he's only been in the fucking ownership role for like 5 months. That's like 100 mil a month.
It is
What's he doing?
It's absurd, yeah. And like, if you're building an aeroplane, yeah, 1 wing is bad, 2 wing is ideal. But like, obviously football teams don't work like airplanes. So you can have 3 or 4 wings, and that's probably pretty good, you know. Then you've got like a bit of cover in case your first wings break. Bro, you're not going to fly a plane with 26 wings. And so why have they got like 1 million wingers? And mate, none of them I don't think are like actually top tier.
They've spent, let's just ballpark it, 400 million on wingers. Why would you spend 400 million on 6 wingers and not just buy Mbappe for 200 million?
But also, yeah, they don't even play with like out and out wingers. They play with like wing backs.
Genuinely, go buy the best. You've got the money. Go buy Mbappe for your central role and Leao. Why buy Madueke, Mudryk, Felix on a loan, and Nkunku, Aubameyang, Sterling? What are you doing?
And they've still got the likes of Pulisic, who's never really done it.
So stupid.
Never really done it. Mason Mount plays out wide sometimes.
It's mental.
They've got Callum Hudson-Odoi out on loan. Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well.
Genuinely a laughing stock of a club,
mate. They're
and they're 10th. Let's just play.
Their plane with 26 wings on it is going to come plummeting to the ground, and I think the way they are getting over FFP, and I'm not the most knowledgeable person about FFP because I just hate it because it fucks over QPR. But like, Chelsea have spent like nearly 600 million in the course of like 6 months, right? How is that sustainable football?
Yeah.
Right. they're giving these players obviously massive wage. They paid £11 million for a fucking 6-month loan, yeah.
And he's missed a month of it because he got red carded, the fucking dingus.
Even without that, that is still ridiculous money, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked.
And then, like, how the way they're getting around it is by giving these players, like, 7-year contracts.
Yeah, and
so
spread it
instead
out.
of being, how much they pay for Mudryk? 80 million.
Yeah. With
So
like
it's-
20 in add-ons.
Yeah, so, like, they're paying, like, over 100 million, but over the course of 7 years.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
how they're getting around it. But, like, it shouldn't work like that. It's ridiculous. And clubs like Brighton, who are run well,
Yeah.
will never be able to compete with that, though.
100%. I know.
Unless they get, like, some Arab money.
Yeah,
or something.
all clubs like Brighton have got to keep doing is keep fucking milking the Chelsea train. If they want, I say though, make Chelsea pay 85 million. If they want, I don't know, Mitoma down the line, make them pay 100 million. Just keep milking these big clubs because these big clubs are stupid enough to keep spending it.
Mate, and, like,
And that's why I
yeah.
always used to hate Arsenal because we couldn't compete financially. But I liked that we pulled out of the Madrid deal when it got to stupid money. And that's where I think Chelsea are growing into this laughing stock because they just don't know where to stop.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I just continue to pray for their downfall.
Yeah,
you know the memes where it's like, you must be sick if you're enjoying Chelsea's downfall, and then there's like people tweeting like me, like in a hospital bed. Yeah, elite.
Literally. As much as fuck Spurs, fuck Chelsea from the bottom of both our hearts.
Yeah, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Should we get on to the predictions?
Yes, we've got predictions, and then, as we said at the beginning of the pod, very exciting times coming up for
You get our predictions. I'm gonna find out if
old BoreDraw.
Hugo Lloris has been dropped.
Come on. Okay. So,
Nah, he's captain.
yeah, that's not so. And that's what I said about Harry Maggs at the pod way back when. When your shittest player is your captain, you're in a sticky sitch
Mate,
because you can't
it
drop.
gets worse.
you
Emerson Royale is starting.
Oh, mate, it's going to be a.
Romero, Dyer, Davis, Perisic, Højbjerg, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Son and Kane.
So literally the lineup you'd expect.
Alvarez is starting for City,
Let's
mate.
go. Let's go.
Edison, Lewis, Stones at Kanji, Ake.
Come on.
Also, Ake playing left back. I think he's
Don't
better
mind
as a
it.
centre back, but he's not bad. It's not the
Ake
worst.
is a very versatile player.
Rodrigo, Gundogan, Grealish, Mahrez, Alvarez, Haaland. De Bruyne on the bench.
Oh, fuck.
De Bruyne on the bench. Cancelo on the bench. Foden on the bench.
As we said, though, when you've got a team that is full to the brim with attacking talent, you can ease the game. Especially if they know Spurs are going to defend it out. Having those man to come on late in the game is nice. So,
Disgusting times.
prediction time, and we start the weekend with an absolute belter of a game. Two of the biggest stinkers in the league at the moment. Liverpool hosting possibly the worst team in terms of just everything about them sucks in Chelsea.
I don't want to even really talk about this game. I want to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next one.
Cool.
Two of the promoted sides this season, both throwing up a little bit of a surprise here and there.
Shout out Nottingham Forest, though. They're looking decent at the moment. I know we haven't spoken about them. They beat Leicester. Very good result.
Apparently, they put out feelers for Chris Wood on loan.
Yes. Shout out Forest all over all the time. Love them guys.
Love you guys.
But, yeah, they're on a bit of a resurgence. And we could say the absolute opposite for Bournemouth, who, since they made Gary O'Neill became official, is taking a bit of a downturn. So, a bit of one of those.
But yeah, I think I might back Forest here. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Forest win.
I like that.
But how much do you like it?
Enough to also say 1-0 Forest.
Nice. We've got a team next in Leicester who it's not happening.
Yeah, they're struggling.
Against a team who have come off a fantastic result.
Brighton are slapping them.
Yeah, Brighton are going to slap them. I'm going to go for 4-1 Brighton.
4-1 Brighton. I'm going to go 3-0 Brighton. Actually, I'm going to go 3-1 Brighton.
Oh,
yeah.
Fancy a Leicester goal in there. Southampton versus Villa. Two ex-Danny Ings clubs.
You had some absolute belters for Southampton a while ago when we were saying Southampton and Everton were the two shittest teams. But since that, I think Southampton are on a run of 3 wins in a row. They beat Man City.
Yeah, Nathan Jones is doing something,
So
mate.
he's turned it up a little bit since... He must have heard you dig him out and he's turned it up.
Yeah, fair enough. He probably does listen to the podcast because
That's where he gets his tactical nous from.
Well, it's clearly working. But yeah, I mean, Unai Emery,
Yeah.
different caliber of manager to Nathan Jones, unfortunately.
But they've just lost Danny Ings to West Ham.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really like Villa's squad is a bit weird, but I think Emery's a good manager.
Yeah, he is.
Southampton, I'm still not sure about. I'm still not sure about. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I'm going to go for 1-0 Aston Villa.
1-0 to the Aston Villains. From the team Danning's played for to the team he's moving to. It's not confirmed yet, but it's basically confirmed. Yeah, West Ham versus... What, stinky West Ham versus stinky El Sacchio.
This is El Sacchio.
El Sacchio, mate.
So, who are you backing? Because I'm backing West Ham.
I'm backing David Moyes, boys.
1-0
I'm going
West Ham.
for a 3-1 West Ham.
3-1.
West Ham can't buy a goal, but they're about to.
They just brought Danny Ings.
He won't even start, but...
Moyes is on the phone and saying, make signings, but they signed Ings.
Love to see it.
I stole that off Twitter. Shout out, my guy.
Crystal Palace, after a good result against United and a fairly decent performance against high-flying Newcastle, this could be quite an interesting game at Selhurst Park, but I think Newcastle might have a bit too much for them. Alexander Isak back and firing.
Yeah,
I'm
and
going
I think
for a
because
2-0.
this has come very quickly after their hard-fought game against Man United,
Yeah.
I think Newcastle are going to have way too much for them.
I'm going 2-0 Newcastle.
I'm going to go 4-0 Newcastle.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Moving on to Sunday, we've got a couple 2 o'clock kickoffs. We've got Leeds versus Brentford. Leeds looking very, very mediocre. Jesse Marsh's
But-
magic's run out.
Shout out to my boy Willie Nonto. What a man.
Mate.
So good. He sees goal.
Acrobatic one, mate.
But I don't think Leeds' judge has run out just yet. I think there's a little bit of a spark still in there. But what Brentford have got going for them is that Ivan Toney's back from injury,
Scoring.
scoring, still not
Arrested for his betting.
arrested for the betting scandal. So I reckon there's goals in this game. I'm going to go 2-2.
2. I'm going to go for a 3-2 Brentford.
Oh, so we're both going goals. Get your hackers on.
Man City versus Wolves. Wolves who have looked fairly decent under Lopetegui.
Yeah, they've...
Um,
Do you see I got into a beef with a Wolves fan on Twitter?
no, I didn't.
Oh, go scroll through our Twitter. It's mad. I had to put this Wolves kid in his place.
Making enemies out there was.
Come on. If you want to come beef me, our Twitter is BoreDraw.
There you go.
I think.
But yeah, Man City are going to win this. It's going to be 3-0.
3-0. I reckon Man City, they're struggling. But I think Wolves, they're defensively resolute. I don't think there's going to be that many goals in it. I'm going to go 2-0 Man City.
2-0 Man City.
And then the big one.
The big one
big
to
one.
round out Sunday at the Emirates. Arsenal versus Man United.
The two biggest clubs in England.
Don't know
I said what I said.
I don't know about that, Chief. But
I said
yeah.
what I said.
Arsenal look unstoppable. Man United look stoppable, but they do have the Rashford factor. And Anthony might be coming out for some revenge against Rosario.
Yeah, actually, I bet. What's the thing? He scored against us as well already, so he's that guy that will score against us.
No Casemiro though, and
It's one of those where Ten Hag came out and said, "We beat, like you said, we beat them once without him. We'll do it again." So I think that'll give them the fight that they can do it. But I think us losing to them
You better
and that being our only loss of the season is going to spur us on so much. Us at home as well is different beast. Us with a full week's rest over there, like 3-day rest. I think we're going to have way too much for them. I think we're going to do them 3-1.
I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think they're going to get a bit of a taste of their own medicine after beating City.
And that's 3-1 I think is reserved. I could go 4. Fuck it, I'm going 4-1 to the boys.
But go 5.
No.
You're not that bad. You don't back your team now, do you? And then rounding out us on Monday, we've got Fulham versus Spurs. Stinky Spurs versus pretty fantastic Fulham.
Fantastic for them indeed.
Yeah. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I'm going to go for Fulham to do it. And I'll love it as well. If they somehow get Conte sacked, that'd be so funny. I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham.
Back-to-back London derbies taking L's.
All the time. That's Spurs, isn't it? That is the history of the Tottenham.
That rounds up our predictions. So at the beginning of the episode, we did announce that we had an announcement to make.
We do!
We got a banging announcement, guys. BoreDraw are going on a Euro tour.
We're going global, baby!
We'll let you know the details in a bit.
Yeah, we don't want to give too much away.
We're hitting up some fantastic football spots, some football locations, and it's going to be mental, and the content will be coming.
We're going to make some very exciting European content.
And we have a very special guest.
Oh, good. It's good. It's good. It's
And
good.
we'll announce the guest in due time.
We are also going to do a special giveaway in collaboration with our trip. So keep an eye out for that on all our socials: Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, all that shit. I don't know. Follow our Linktree. The Linktree has it all in there. But yeah, there's good stuff coming round the corner. Keep your eyes peeled.
March, baby.
We're going European.
Thank you guys for watching. It's been BoreDraw. Euro Tour coming. And it's live.
BoreDraw Euro Tour.
BoreDraw Euro Tour.
Come on.
Let's go!
Bash.